G'day guys, Googs here. You're welcome to my drunk philosophy. Excuse me. Today I'm going to talk about the controversy around Scott Morrison giving $150 million to America in order to help them get to the moon or to add to the Mars program. And I've seen a lot of heat over this because there is right now, and there has been now for at least 4 years, a major drought occurring in northern interior New South Wales and the same in southern interior Queensland. It's a massive drought. I saw a picture today, and I don't know whether it's from southern Queensland, southern interior Queensland, but it quite possibly could be, of a dam, a clay-based dam. There's no water in it. In fact, it's worse than that. Okay, the ground is that dry, the clay has literally cracked apart. In some places, by the looks of it, 3 to 4 inches. This is a tragedy. It's horrific. There's quite a few towns now in the interior of those places where they are getting water shipped to them because they don't have any, even bore water. They've got nothing. And it's terrible. And it's horrible. And my heart honestly goes out to all those people. We had a drought here in Western Australia that went for about 7 years. And I'm lucky that I live on the coast here. And the farmers within about 50 kilometres were fine. But, you know, down south, in the interior of the southwest, it was horrible. You know, places like Meriden and places like that, it was a tragedy. So I understand and I get it. But the controversy is that that money, $150 million, the federal government, could have gone to these farmers. Excuse me again. There's 2 reasons why it didn't. All right. First reason, and this is something that I don't know if it's unique to Australian politics, but it's certainly a part of Australian politics. Every state and territory is in control of its water supply, whether that is from the air or what's in the ground, okay, or in the rivers. That's the reality of this. In fact, in Queensland, I think it's one step further than that. It's even worse than that because the state government has decided it wants to control precipitation, rain, and you have to pay for rain in your own water tank. Now, that's born out of drought, I believe. I'm not quite sure how that works. I'm not across Queensland law. So the federal government could give a grant, I guess, of $150 million, which brings us to problem 2, though. Okay, you can give these people $150 million to help them, but how are you going to help them? You could not possibly spread $150 million across all of those farms, all of those districts, right? And you might give them water for another year maybe, but that would be drinking water, that would be personal water, right? You could not irrigate those regions for $150 million. Yes, you could buy lots of bales of hay, but that's not the problem as much as the problem is they need water, right? They need water on their lands because the banks are calling, all right? And agricultural farming is a gamble. You are banking on it raining. There's no guarantee it will. Or even if it does, you're not going to get what you want, which is what the farmers in my region, in the Midwest of Western Australia, are now currently facing. We had great rain to start the season and it's disappeared. And they're not getting the finishing rains they need. So, for example, in the canola crop, talking to a farmer the other day, at halfway between, I live in Geraldton and Mullawa, which is 90 kilometres inland, about halfway in between the two. And this particular farmer was saying, yeah, the canola's flowering, but it's not seeding, which means that they're not going to be able to get the oil out of the seeds, which in turn means that they're not really going to have much of a crop, even though it looks good. So what can you do? You can give these farmers 150 and these communities $150 million, and it might last 6 months. Then what are you going to do for the next 6 months and the next 6 months? As long as this drought goes on, eventually, unfortunately, and once again, my heart goes out to these people. You know, someone said, oh, maybe they could ship water in from other places. I'm like, yeah, and then they're without water. Okay, or they're down whatever percentage of water they normally have because southern Queensland's in drought. Even Brisbane's not getting the rainfall it normally gets. And Brisbane, of course, is in southern Queensland. What do you do? Because if you take it from one place, then that place has less. Then what do you do? This is the problem with all of this. And once again, my heart goes out to those farmers. It really does. No one wants to see the heart and soul of our country, which is in the farmers, have this problem. Nobody wants this. I just really hope, guys, if you're a farmer or know a farmer in these regions, that it rains. But now we're coming into summer. Yeah. I do really feel terrible for you, and I hope that you can recover. I really do, that next winter you get the rains you desperately need. Yeah, it's a terrible circumstance. On the flip side, $150 million, in the scheme of things, our budget's at the moment about $58 billion. So one was, so 58 billion is 58 with 9 zeros after it. We're going to give 1.5 million with 6 zeros after it. So it's actually quite a small percentage of our overall budget. And it's going to go towards increasing our knowledge and our technology, because it's not actually going to, you know, maybe $3 of it might be there if liftoff happens. But in the meantime, it's all the R&D that's needed to get there. And we're not the only country doing it. I mean, Russia's in, India's in, I think England might be in, I'm not sure. At the moment, England is a mess. The UK, I should say, is a complete mess. It is, it's all over the place. But that $150 million will go into new research. Now, if you look at a lot of the technology we have today, a lot of it, you know, has obviously evolved since 1960s and 70s, but a lot of it came from the space race. It came from the moonshots. It came from trying to get man into the moon, into space, into the moon. Well, if you swing that way and you're an astronaut, maybe you do. I'm not sure. But still, the getting man to the moon and doing it this time, we're going to need to have new technologies, new ideas to get there. So we haven't been there since the mid-70s. And to get to Mars even more, because the idea, as far as I'm aware, is we're going to send a unmanned mission to Mars with all the gear that you're going to need to restock the rockets, to restock the food, the oxygen, all that sort of stuff. And that could give way to a whole heap of new technologies, which is cool. And it's something that could benefit all of mankind, or all of humankind, or personkind if you're Justin bloody Trudeau. Just don't put brown on your face like he did. You might end up in trouble. But this is a good thing for all of us. Okay, this could give us new technologies and take us in a completely new direction with science, which is fantastic. So I'm actually for what Scott Morrison is doing there. And I hope you would join me in saying, well, 150 million is a good idea. But I can understand the frustration and the anguish of the average punter, including myself, when it comes to the suffrage of these farmers in the drought. But I do understand why Scott Morrison did what he did. Once again, it's a really complex issue, guys. So I really hope to the farmers that you get some rain in the next 12 months, and it's enough to at least get a little bit of a crop or a few more head of cattle or whatever you're doing over there. I'm not even sure what you guys grow. I suppose it'd be the same as what we grow over here. I really hope that you get rain in the next 12 months and it's enough, and it's it just allows you to sort of recover, and I hope you get good 10 years so that you can recover. People say climate change isn't real. In Australia, man, yeah, okay, we're a pretty dry country, but not this dry. This is ridiculous. And it seems to be a cycle of it happens on the East Coast. The East Coast recovers and then it happens on the West Coast. But this time around, it's still really dry over here too. So, yeah, my heart goes out. Anyway, guys, I'm Nathan Gooks Fletcher, the Drunk Philosopher, and I'll catch you later. Uru.